Today's date is August 30th, 2013. The time is now 10:41. Present in the room with myself is Goshen Township PD. Before we get into the meat of the interview, you need to go over Miranda so you understand. Okay. We don't do in-house, internals. This is a criminal investigation.
Sure.
Okay. Before I ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court or other proceedings. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before I ask you any questions and have him or her with you during questioning. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed for you before any questioning if you wish. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop the questioning at any time. You also have the right to stop the questioning at any time until you talk to a lawyer. For us, the top portion is if you understand, the lower portion is if you waive.
Okay.
And if you could also fill in the date and time.
Okay, it's 8. Was it about 10:35?
I have just shy of a quarter till. I got 10:46. Okay, super. Don, I have a little house cleaning. How long have you been with Goshen Township?
Going on. Actually, this.
Okay. And you're in a patrol road?
Yes.
What are your duties and responsibilities?
I do. We really don't have a lot of officers at this point, but.
I understand. I was just told that.
All that good stuff.
What are your normal working hours?
6 to 6.
6A to 6?
6A to 6P. 1 week we'll work 5 12s. The next week I work 2 12s.
Who's your direct supervisor? From what time period were you the...
Actually, I've been going on about 10 years now, on and off throughout the years. Other officers have been delegated. I'm stuck with it. It always ends up back in my corner, and I end up having to go in and clean up messes. And that's sort of what happened here.
Got it. Can you, and I have a general feel now as to how it functions, but what is the methodology for the property room to function? Say I go out and I do a drug buy, and what do I do?
Well, you would take that property that you seized and enter it into OIVERS, LEOT, our reporting system. From there, the officer would package this property, attach a LEOT property evidence room slip to it, and stick it in the locker, the evidence room locker. From there, the evidence custodian would take it from the locker.
So wait a minute, let me stop you. So my role is done once they do the report and I get the tag and I put it in the locker.
Yes.
Your job as property room then, go ahead.
Would take the evidence from the locker, enter it into the Excel sheet as the date entered, officer entered, entering officer rather, description of the property, and then assign it a spot in the evidence room, and then place the item in the designated spot.
Okay. For, say I got I don't know, a little baggie of pot. I do my report. Do I need to note on my report where it is placed in the property room?
No.
Is this the first time there's been an issue of missing evidence from the property room? And if not, when was the last? What was the evidence missing? And what was the case?
Well, the case that you just referenced way back in the day was the last time that I have been aware that anything in the property room was missing. That was it was. I'm not sure what the denomination was, but it was money.
Money.
It was before I had the evidence room. And I want to say everybody was cleared on that. And that was probably back in 2002, maybe.
Were any, that was before you, was Kate Davis with the PD?
She was a subject of the investigation then, yes.
So was she a property custodian back in the day?
No.
Okay.
No, if memory serves me right, the uniforms back at the old PD, it was kind of a small building.
Yes.
And if you recall, you go up into the bay area and up the stairs and into the evidence room. Well, in the evidence room was also the area where we kept clothing for officers. So she had somehow maybe was up there looking for clothing and whatnot. And to be honest with you, I don't know all the particulars on that case, so I'm not sure how that money even come about that was missing or anything to that nature that's related to that case. But she was up there, from what I gathered, just looking for some uniforms and whatnot. So she becomes subject of that investigation.
Okay. Okay. Was anyone else that was there at the time, excuse me, working, that's Robinson? Was Robinson there in 02?
I think so.
Okay.
We started pretty close together. I think I've got about 6 months on him. So I started in 2001. So I'm going to say he was there, yes.
Okay. But the focus was pretty much on Miss Davis?
No, there were several. There was also another officer. Her name was Jen Campbell, and she, excuse me, she, I don't know if she took the polygraph or not. She left shortly thereafter and went to another agency. And I believe Detective Lacey at that point, well, he was an officer then, I believe he was also subject to that investigation, which he's no longer with us. And I'm not sure who else was involved with that.
Okay. Was the prosecutor's office notified about this issue? Or?
Yes.
Okay. Does the township, and I understand now there's a new policy, did the township have a specific policy when handling money orders, dope as evidence?
Nothing other than the money should be secured. Anything of value should be secured in a safe.
Okay. And actually, is going to get me the old policy
Okay.
for that. Have all the submissions been made, or could another officer have made that submission?
Actually, I've been on officers about that many times, submitting property for another officer. That creates issues in the evidence room when it comes time to, when officers are requesting property or it's time for destruction of property. It goes back to the submitting officer, and in fact, the submitting officer is not the investigating officer. So yes, there's many times where officers are submitting property for other officers that maybe were part of that case in some form or fashion, but weren't actually responsible for the case disposition. So I've not had that issue for a while. I'm hoping I stopped that, but that has been an issue in the past, yes.
Because my question was, could that have been some of the issue here?
No.
Okay.
No.
Have you or any other officer worked any cases along with?
Oh, yes.
I'm gathering many.
Oh, yeah, we've done, this is Goshen. We do cases all the time.
And I understand from talking to Ray, separate from the unit, they're independently done through Goshen Township.
Mm-hmm. I think every officer there has helped out in some form or fashion with a case or two that was handling. Just being on the road when he's come in on off duty or details or whatnot and end up getting caught up into something, you just happen to be on working that shift and you, of course, assist.
And this may not even be a good question now that I'm understanding how things function, but is there some sort of a cross-reference to determine who made the amount and the money used? If it was money or money order?
Well, we have a confidential informant policy that wherein money should be delineated on this pre-forms that are part of this policy. So when an officer has a confidential informant and uses money, buy money, and or receives money, it should all be tallied on this policy or on these forms rather with a confidential informant. Now, whether or not has done that, I don't know. I've not looked at those forms. That would be something that you would have to discuss with him. I don't even know where he keeps those forms.
So there's like a receipt book?
Yeah, it just basically, it's a one-stop for your informant. It gives you all the information on that one informant because certain elements would preclude that individual from being an informant. So there's kind of a checklist of, if they're on probation, let's say, all that good stuff that comes into play. It's just basically a one-stop where you can get all your information for that one informant and keep track of everything.
Okay. And you may not know this, and we'll probably know more of this, but are the money orders missing and the missing belonging to the same case?
I would be able to tell. Do you mind if I look through here?
Please.
I don't think there's any. I think there's. Well, I guess there's a pretty ambiguous word. There's some missing.
Okay.
But I don't think that they're associated with each other. Maybe I think. What I think's happening is they've been destroyed and they just either by way of the mechanical failure on the hard drive or as not delineated. Those destructions. So let's see, we've got, I don't know, did explain to you how to interpret this?
Yeah, he did, about the safe, about, went to the next page. He told me something where B is bin, S is shelf, L is locker.
I'm looking.
And he also told me, I'm not quite sure. He did tell me, like, if I needed...
These are report numbers.
Right, and 54 would be the, on the spreadsheet. You would find this on the spreadsheet, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you follow through, and it would tell you where it is.
Right.
Okay.
So, let's see. I'm not sure where the current discrepancy list is at here.
He's updated it.
But I can tell you.
Right, he told me he did update everything, so.
Let's see. Let me go through here and what you can do is to determine whether or not those cases are associated, like say pills, this looks like a recent case. So we go 2011-376 is the associate or the report number for these pills. And now for the missing money, we'll just look and see if there's any more 376s.
Oh, okay. I'll just color code it then. Okay.
It's all the same report.
Okay.
Now it looks like 376 pills, 376 pills. See, that's all. Well, there's those three right there are one report.
Yeah.
And I'm quite certain that these have been, because when you'll see, there's a destruction pile waiting in the evidence room right now as we speak that I just received an order on today. I submitted a couple of weeks ago to the prosecutor's office. I've not destroyed it pending this investigation, but you'll see the pile of evidence that's in this room, and we do this probably 3 or 4 times a year. So very easy to throw a set of or something in the, get into this pile and fail to write it down on the list or update it in the Excel sheet. Okay, now a little different with the money because the money's in a safe. It's in a whole different spot.
And the safe is still in the same room?
It's in the same room.
Okay.
So it doesn't look just by looking at it that any of these case numbers are associated with the money in the well, here's one right here. There is one. 677 pills, 677, $46. But that's how you would determine whether or not
Okay, super.
the pills and the money are associated under the same case.
That's my same question, reworded differently. Is there a computer, and I understand you use an Excel spreadsheet to do this. Any issues with this computer?
Well, yes. The computer in itself was old and decrepit. It wasn't linked to anything, any of the new servers or any of the new systems that we have. And we were using an old flash drive to maintain these records.
Do you still have a computer in the old flash drive?
We still have the computer. That thing went out about 3 or 4 years ago. So basically what we did after that computer went out, that thing was discarded a long time ago. We retained the flash drive. And from there, we would just pencil in, any entries or releases from the evidence room, then go back to the computer wherever the officer's sitting, their computer, and then plug that flash drive into the system and update the flash drive.
Okay. Have you ever trained anyone other than Kate Davis?
Yes.
Who have you trained?
There were Officer Keith Clonch and Jamie McFarland. Keith Clonch.
How do you spell Clonch?
CLONCH.
COLS?
Yeah, COL. Clonch. COLONCH.
Sorry.
And then Jamie McFarland.
Jamie, male or female?
Male.
Okay.
And I think that was it.
Are they still with Goshen?
Jamie is, yes.
Is he working as an assistant property
No.
room?
He has no ties to the property room whatsoever.
So no key or nothing like
Nothing. No access.
that? Is there a possibility that the key can be duplicated?
I don't think so. I don't know that
I mean,
for
some
sure.
keys have on there not to be duplicated. They're just
Yeah, I don't know.
like some car
It's
keys now.
a
You can't even
special
get
key.
them duplicated. You gotta
It's
go
a
and
special key. I don't think that anybody can just go to a hardware store and get these duplicated, but I don't know that to be fact. That would be something you would need to talk with the chief about. But here's the keys. One of them's to the entire police department, and the other one's specifically for the evidence room.
okay.
And there again, I'm not sure if, I wouldn't think you could just go down to the hardware store and make a copy of this. But
What
I'm not
about a
sure.
locksmith?
I'm not sure. Oh, could a locksmith get in there?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I don't know too much about locksmiths and keys.
Have you ever discussed with anyone how, in the event that they would need to get inside that property room?
You can't get inside there without a key.
Must have a key.
You gotta have
No
a key.
other way.
There's no other way to get inside there.
Do you know if there's any past allegations of inappropriate conduct or theft, either made against yourself or...
No.
Do you have any knowledge of any officer, including yourself, being romantically involved with someone who has had a key in the past that could have passed it off?
No.
Okay. Is there anything I didn't ask you I should have asked you?
How I found out about this
Why?
discrepancies.
I read.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I read it, but go ahead. How did you find out?
Officer back in early 2012 took over the evidence room, delegated that task to her, and prior to the keys being relinquished to her, we conducted a safe audit. All the money was there, accounted for. Throughout 2012, she was responsible for the evidence room, and it was kind of intermittent because she was going out on she had some medical issues and whatnot. And so I believe it was about January or August or so, she finally decided to seek a medical. At that time, it was unsure whether or not she was going to stay gone or not. So I continued doing the evidence room in her absence, and basically just entering property and retrieving property as needed, requesting by the officers. And once it was determined that she was not going to come back, it was a done deal, and that was the latter part of 2012. I began looking for another officer to delegate the task of the evidence room to. And I believe it was March 8th of this year, I delegated this task to Officer Wolf. I never relinquished a key to him. Prior to giving him access to the evidence room, sole access, I conducted an audit of the safe, and that's where I found the discrepancies. Conducted an audit, an entire audit of the system, and by researching or using this flash drive. And as I was making changes to the Excel sheet and saving them on the flash drive, about a week or so after these discrepancies, and I did a self-audit, immediately I reported this to my supervisor. We went back and did another audit. And it was there that I just discovered that this flash drive that I had just a week prior made numerous changes to reflect the current inventory in the property room, was missing about 80% of the information I just saved. So it was there I determined that the flash drive was corrupt or something wrong with it. We got rid of the flash drive and set up a hardwired system in the evidence room with a brand new computer, all the good stuff that will keep us up to date and keep this problem from happening again. We went and did a third audit and did a complete audit of the evidence room and tearing bags apart and looking for this money, and it was nowhere to be found. You'll see, you can't see it on here, but part of the Excel sheet, when you get into the system at the computer, or at the PD rather, you'll see that, are you familiar with Excel at all?
Yeah. Okay.
You can add comments, okay? Whenever you release money, you first and foremost, and I told Officer this, and I'm not sure why she didn't do it, but you have them sign this evidence property sheet that's associated with this money. Have them sign it, date it, and you file it away as a hard copy. Then on the Excel sheet, you go in, you change the status from active to release, and then make a note on the date, time, and who you released that money to. And I'm not sure if officer just failed to do that, or if it's the discrepancy from the flash drive not saving, because only by chance did I realize that flash drive was corrupt, because I went back the next day or the 2 days after the fact and did another complete audit with and myself. And from there, I determined that all the information, a majority of the information that I just changed, it was not there.
Yeah.
So, officer could have been entering this stuff unbeknownst to her that the flash drive was not, was corrupt and not saving the data.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't preclude the fact that there's the hard copy paper that's associated with that piece of property is also missing.
Right.
Okay.
No, I did read that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
I think that about covers it.
Okay. We'll go ahead and end the interview. It's now 11:40.